14 years ago, when times were a little simpler and the big three seemed to get along, and when the blog era was starting to peak, J. Cole had dropped a mixtape that was better than a lot of people's albums. And now that project is finally on streaming service. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button for your boy. Hitting the like button is greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe if you haven't. But today, I'm going to hit y'all with my thoughts on the project from J. Cole entitled Friday Night Lights. This mixtape from the Vietnam native was originally slated to be an album, but it ended up being released as a free mixtape on Dat Piff right before his commercial debut, Cold World. Now fast forward to 2024 quickly. It was an interesting year for J. Cole to say the least. Earlier in the year, he had dropped a strong project, Might Delete Later, and unfortunately that was overshadowed by Cole's decision to exit the K-Dot and Drake beef in the manner in which he did. Things haven't been easy for Cole fans, to keep it real, but thankfully, he has been re-releasing some of his critically acclaimed mixtapes on streaming services. Getting right into Friday Night Lights. This was a 2010 release from the hungry young J. Cole, who was a Jay-Z protege, just trying to forge his way in the game and share his personal stories with the world. It contains 19 tracks lasting approximately an hour and 20 minutes. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track by track breakdown. The Friday Night Lights intro sets the tone for this project over some gentle, elegant keys and Cole repeating the refrain. So here we are, reminding the listener that this is his crucial moment to prove himself to the game. This is a cinematic opener that leads right into Too Deep for the intro, a dope record with a sped up Erykah Badu Didn't You Know sample, a classic sample that you can't go wrong with. You can just hear the hunger and passion in Cole's vocals throughout. He said, partially functional, half of me is comfortable, the other half is too close to the cliff like Mrs. Huxtable. Them boys got them holsters and clips they pack like Lunchables. As a whole, fire opener to set it off. Then there is Before I Go, which is probably a top 5 to 10 J. Cole song in my opinion. This had an epic multi-layer beat with soulful crooning, bright dramatic pianos, and I'd have to say there was a Tupac meets Outkast feel to the production. There was such an urgency to his rapping throughout. Some standout bars were, so I take this pencil and write it like a pen pill, some shit that's darker than the tints up on your windshield. Welcome to Sinville, where dudes on base shit look like an infield, high as a sprint bill. What you think that's the reason why this ink in my pen kill. So as a whole, one of my favorites from the project. The beat was just exceptional. Next was Back to the Topic, a hard-hitting freestyle where Cole was rapping over Cassie's Must Be Love. This was a gritty freestyle where he was just going in with that explosiveness. Carolina's finest, pedal to the metal, feeling like the puppet and the devil was Geppetto, led it to the ghetto, hold your head high, you can pick apart my raps, I ain't told you nan lie. Yeah, this was just one of those tracks that felt like he was rapping like his life depended on it. And there was a seductive bop, You Got It with Wale. The production here was more luxurious. We got some soothing crooning from Janelle Monáe, and Wale had the slick bars. I'm something like a fetus, see I'm not quite kidding. And while I don't have this as one of my favorites, it was always super solid. Then there was the Ville-matic freestyle where Cole was rapping over Kanye's Devil in a New Dress, and it was probably one of the best freestyles to that beat at the time. Some standout lines were, one minute I'm overrated, next minute I'm the savior, you hate it before you played it, I already forgave you. After this is probably my favorite song on the project, Enchanted with Omen. Both Cole and Omen were really talking on this track, putting it all on the line, giving us vivid pain bars. We have this beautiful multi-layer beat with a moody soul sample, melancholy keys, movie-like strings, and this Tupac Machiavelli-like refrain, which I love. Probably one of the best reinterpolations of a Tupac hook, honestly. Some lines from Cole that always jumped out to me were where dudes play tough, won't even smile in mirrors, and we learn to F hoes off trial and error. Just a small town dude, big city hustle. Omen had a heartfelt performance as well. Some of his best bars were, I think I'm in the dungeon, fam. I see Lil Green. Sons raised by both queens, but it's no kings. But it was Cole's third verse that was the most riveting and honestly gave me goosebumps. It seems like dudes either feel you or they try to kill you. I face the sky and hope that God ain't act unfamiliar. You play whatever cards he dealt, no matter how peculiar. Yeah, I think it was one of Cole's most powerful songs to date, and the production was flawless. Really gives you that Carolinas feel with a Tupac influence as well. The tempo then shifts with the record Blow Up, a motivational track with an infectious upbeat groove. Cole is speaking on blowing up into existence, some sharp lines where they say, what you fighting for? The game's on life support. Hey, Gary Coleman just passed. Life is short. Next is Higher, which has a bright, peppy beat, and Cole is rapping it in more of a sing-song, bouncy flow. There were some sexual bars, which could be looked at as cringe, but it was a decent relationship track overall. Definitely a feel-good vibe. Right after was the commercial smash, In the Morning with Drake. It was a sleek, sultry, smooth track that was a crossover record for the blog era. It was also one where Drake was in his bag. And this track was successful enough that it ended up on Cole's commercial debut. Track 11, Two-Face, was another highlight. The production here was darker and more theatrical. Cole was coming through with some genuine bars about how there's two sides to his personality. You know, one minute he's down to scrap, the other time he might be throwing up the peace sign. Some intense lines where ink from my pen spilling on my notebook filled with dreams. This is my hope book. Still the screams from little girls getting shot and killed fill my head on a daily. So this was a relatable track where he was talking about trying to do the right thing, but still suffering from foolish pride, wrestling with his own faith, and even at times seeking danger just for the thrill of it. He then goes on a more soulful route with the track The Autograph. The bright and glorious horns really pop. But on this track, he's talking about living out his dreams, just rapping with that confidence, almost as if he was doing a victory lap early on. Track 13, Best Friend, is likely my least favorite, but it's not bad at the same time. It was just more of a mixtape freestyle. This sample from the Timberland, Missy Elliott, and Leah song. Nothing wrong with it. It's just one that I tend to skip over. Immediately after was the well-produced Cost Me a Lot, a track where Cole was in his sampling bag heavy, flipping to Billie Holiday as well as Monica One. But this is a flossing anthem about his chain, but it could be looked at as a predecessor to Chaining Day. It was on this track where Cole seems to be wrestling with his desire to want more material items, but also acknowledging the cost of them, not just in a physical sense. Then there is another high point, Premeditated Murder, which has one of the best beats. I love the epic strings. It was chilly but soulful at the same time. There is somewhat of a 50 Cent-like hook from Cole, which slapped, and Cole was going in with that marksman-like precision, reminding us how he was going to kill the game, Premeditated Murder. Then there's a personal favorite, Home for the Holidays, which has this wholesome, cheery instrumental, and everything about this track screams like an anthem for either Thanksgiving or the Christmas season. It's a record that will likely give you flashbacks to a time where you either came home from college or you came home from your first big job and you reconnected with those folks you haven't seen in a while. It's just a nostalgic track that's so soulful and cheery, feel good. Track 17, Love Me Not, has this syrupy Stevie Wonder sample that went pretty hard, but it was more of a melodic track where Cole was in his romantic bag, talking about the relationship woes that he was going through, so it's probably very relatable for some folks. And there was the Poignant Sea World, an emotional dedication to a 5-year-old girl who had lost her life in Neville, backed by Tupac's Pain sample, which was very fitting, and it showed us that Cole could give you those compelling bars of pain. And this project closes out with Farewell. You will hear a faint Outkast sample, but the beat has such a majestic, credits rolling flavor, and there's plenty of deep introspection, thought-provoking bars, really powerful way to wrap up a great project. So overall, I'm gonna give this mixtape a rating of a strong 4.5 to 5 mics. Definitely nothing lower than a 4.5. So if you think this mixtape or album is a classic, then I'm not gonna argue with you. I do feel Friday Night Lights is one of the stronger mixtapes of all time, especially from that era. And I think I did enjoy this project as much as Big Crit's Return of Forever, which came out this same year. So the question was, is this J. Cole's best body of work? And I would have to say, yeah, I think it is. To me, it always felt like his most complete, most cohesive project, where he was at his hungriest, also containing some of his more interesting production. And I am viewing this through the lens of someone who prefers more traditional rap, because even though Cole had given us some more polished beats on this project, there were still no gimmicky, over-the-top crossover tracks that were in bad taste. Nothing stuck out like a sore thumb. Instead, there were just a lot of relatable themes, storytelling, as well as bangers, street records, relationship tracks, and anthems. Now, I know there were some who will view Forest Hills Drive as his best release, and while that may be his best commercial one, I would put Friday Night Lights over it for sure. And I gotta close this out by saying that even in my early 40s, after hearing this release for the first time in a long time, it did bring back some nostalgia. Like, I wasn't in high school or college when it dropped, like some of you may have been, but I was about 29 years old, and a lot of life has passed since then. But let me know in the comment section if you feel this is J. Cole's best work. My favorite tracks include Too Deep for the intro, Before I'm Gone, Back to the Topic, Enchanted, In the Morning, Two-Face, The Autograph, Premeditated Murder, Home for the Holidays, Love Me Not, SeaWorld, and Farewell. But it's your boy Mixtape Mob. I am signing out. As always, it's peace and blessings. J. Cole, Friday Night Lights, 1.